She didn't scream when she found the flight log. She didn't call him, didn't cry, didn't even sit. Cassia Lowell Verrell simply stood in the center of her kitchen at 2:07 a.m., barefoot, robe tied, tea kettle warming on the stove, staring at proof, her husband's name, the destination, St. Bartholomew, and the last passenger on the list, Vienna Durand. She closed the file, because some betrayals don't need discovery, they need confirmation. Welcome back to Mr. Charles Stories, where dignity doesn't always announce itself, but it never loses. If you've ever held your peace until it made others uncomfortable, this story is for you. Like, share, and subscribe. Let's begin. Cassia's fingers didn't shake as she traced the names on the screen. The glow of her phone highlighted the calm on her face. Not peace, not resignation, just stillness. The email had come from a burner address. No message, no subject, just a PDF attachment titled Trip Details, March. Her instincts didn't question it. She clicked. What appeared was a private jet manifest with Braden Verrell's name highlighted, his assistant, another board executive, and, at the bottom, Vienna Durand. No Mr. and Mrs., no pretense, just a lineup of familiarity, intimate enough to sting, professional enough to be dismissible. Cassia poured hot water into her cup and stood by the marble island, waiting for the tea to darken. She didn't sit, didn't pace, didn't speak. She simply stared out the window. Braden hadn't said a word about traveling. Not this week, not last. She remembered asking him just 3 nights ago over grilled salmon, "Will you be in town this weekend?" His reply was quick, "Yeah, meetings downtown." Why? Nothing unusual in tone, nothing suspicious in manner. Except now she knew it was a lie. Before the Verrell name appeared on luxury tech magazines and high-ticket shareholder meetings, Cassia met Braden in a shared co-working space in downtown Raleigh. He didn't wear designer shoes then. He wore nervous ambition and second-hand suits. She was a legal analyst fresh off a fellowship, always 5 minutes early and 10 steps ahead. He admired that. She liked his ideas, even when no one else believed in them. They married quietly. No destination wedding, no sponsored hashtags. Just 60 guests, a jazz band, and her grandmother's veil. They didn't climb the ladder. They built it, brick by brick, together. The shift wasn't sudden. That's what made it impossible to challenge. Braden had grown polished, polite, strategic. He still complimented her dress before dinners, still held her hand in public. But behind closed doors, something faded. When Vienna joined the company, Cassia remembered the briefing email. New director of global engagement, Vienna Durand, bright resume, impressive references, newly married. Cassia noticed the tension from the start. Not romantic tension, but something unspoken. Vienna never overstepped. She didn't need to. It was in the way she laughed during meetings Braden led, in the way she called him B once, and no one corrected her. Cassia didn't confront Braden. She watched. She asked him once, gently, after a company retreat photo surfaced where Vienna. His hand lingered too long on Braden's shoulder. "Anything I should know?" Braden's response, a laugh. "She's married. Don't embarrass yourself." He didn't yell, didn't cheat obviously, didn't humiliate her in tabloids. He simply stopped noticing her. Stopped asking if she'd be joining him for events. Stopped listening when she voiced concern. He still respected her, praised her brilliance in front of investors, introduced her as the reason I'm here at panels. But behind closed doors, he didn't ask about her deadlines, didn't see her pain when she returned from the doctor alone after her 3rd miscarriage scare. He brought her gifts, not presents, flowers, not focus. Cassia stayed quiet. Because sometimes dignity doesn't scream, it documents. 2 weeks before the flight log email, Cassia received a voice note by accident. Braden's assistant had meant to send it to someone else. Instead, it landed in her inbox. "Mr. Verrell prefers the suite in Florence with 2 bedrooms. She replayed it twice, didn't ask who the second room was for. She remembered when she and Braden used to travel together, when she preferred to share even the hotel robe with him. That Florence trip didn't include her. He never mentioned it. She didn't bring it up. She opened a new savings account the next day. Cassia wasn't weak. She was meticulous. She had built her own investment portfolio under her maiden name, updated her estate plan, quietly removed his name from one joint account, not out of anger, out of clarity. She knew where this road led, but she wouldn't arrive at the ending unprepared. Braden never noticed the shift, because when a man starts seeing his wife as permanent, he stops watching for signs she might leave. 3 days before the board meeting, Cassia cooked dinner herself. Braden came home late but joined her in the kitchen. They spoke casually. Updates about the market, a new product launch. She poured him a glass of red wine and asked, "Is there anything I should know before I meet with the board next week?" He looked up from his phone, confused. "Why would there be?" She smiled slightly. "I don't like surprises." Braden gave a soft laugh. "You're fine. It's just budget talk." He kissed her temple. "You're always ahead of it anyway." She nodded, then cleared the plates. What Braden didn't know was that Cassia already had the surprise. She just wanted to see if he'd lie one more time. And now that he had, she could walk into that boardroom knowing two things: her marriage was done, and this time, she'd be the one holding the power. Cassia stood in front of her closet the morning of the board meeting. She didn't reach for red or navy or the black suit Braden once called powerful. She chose ivory, smooth, simple, and impossible to ignore. Braden was still asleep when she left. She didn't wake him. She wasn't angry. There was nothing left to argue about, nothing to accuse. She simply didn't want to speak to a man who'd already confirmed everything without saying a word. She arrived 15 minutes early, as she always did. Her assistant greeted her with a nod and a knowing glance. Something in her eyes said, "They've been whispering." Cassia returned the glance with silence. The room was already humming with tension. Coffee cups were half full, laptops open, slides waiting. When Braden entered, he walked straight to the head of the table, nodding at everyone like nothing was off. He wore a dark suit, no tie, a style he'd adopted recently to seem more approachable to younger investors. Cassia didn't look at him. She looked at the agenda. At 9:03 a.m., the door opened again. Vienna Duran stepped in, late. She offered no apology. Her hair was freshly styled, her makeup soft, her blouse loose. But not loose enough. Cassia's gaze dropped. Vienna rested one hand on her midsection as she sat, and in that moment, no one had to say it out loud. It echoed without a word. Pregnant. 6 weeks. If Cassia guessed right. She had once carried for 6 weeks too. Once. A moment that ended in silence on a bathroom floor while Braden was on a tech panel in Boston. Cassia kept her expression still. Her spine stayed straight, her breathing controlled. Vienna opened her laptop and began taking notes as if the air in the room hadn't shifted, as if her hands weren't now the center of speculation. No one looked at Braden, not directly, but they didn't have to. Cassia made her contributions to the meeting. She spoke with clarity, precision, and control. No edge, no bitterness. She presented her reports, asked one question that silenced the CFO for a full 30 seconds, then closed her file. Braden avoided eye contact. His usual smug remarks were absent. When the meeting ended, he made an awkward attempt to catch her in the hallway. "Cass, I'll call a car," she said, walking past him. That night, she didn't return home. She didn't check her phone. She didn't leave a note. She booked a hotel room under her maiden name and turned off every notification except for one emergency contact, her own. At 6:40 p.m., she stood by the floor-to-ceiling window of the suite, sipping a soda, not champagne. She looked out at the city lights and felt nothing break inside her. It had already broken weeks ago. In the stillness of that room, she found something she hadn't felt in months. Space. Not the physical kind. The kind that came when there were no more lies to sort through, no more justifications to wrestle with, no more wondering if she was imagining things. He had lied, and she had known. The flight manifest wasn't what ruined her. It was the lie he told with calm eyes when she asked him directly. That kind of betrayal wasn't about another woman. It was about being made to feel like the truth wasn't hers to hold. Cassia didn't cry. She slept. The next morning, she declined 2 calls from Braden. He didn't leave a voicemail. Just sent a text. "Where are you?" She stared at the words for a few seconds, then powered off her phone. That afternoon, she had lunch alone in the corner of a quiet restaurant. No makeup, no jewelry, no security detail. Just her and a simple glass of iced tea. She watched people walk past the window. Mothers with strollers, students with coffee. Men in suits who looked too busy to see the women standing right beside them. By the time she returned to the hotel, there was an envelope waiting at the desk. No name, no handwriting, just her sweet number. Inside, a single note. "Mrs. Varel, may we meet? Kyle Durand." No threats, no accusations, just a request. She stared at the note for a long time before folding it once and sliding it into her coat pocket. That evening she replied with a time and a place. 11 a.m. The Willow Room downtown. A neutral setting. Public. Refined. She wore dark trousers and a soft grey blouse. No accessories. Just presence. Kyle arrived 10 minutes early. He stood as she approached, offering a quiet nod instead of a handshake. They sat. He didn't fidget, didn't look uncomfortable. If anything, he looked composed, reserved. "Thank you for meeting me," he said. Cassia nodded once. "You didn't sound angry." "That's why I agreed." "I'm not," he replied. That caught her off guard more than anything. She'd expected tension, grief, a desire for payback. But Kyle was calm. His expression wasn't flat, it was focused. "I don't want to destroy them," he said. Cassia raised an eyebrow. "You don't?" "No. I want to watch what they built fall apart on its own." She took a quiet sip of tea. Kyle continued, "If you leave now, they'll cling to each other, just to feel right about what they've done. But if we give them 3 months, they'll crumble without interference." Cassia finished. He nodded. "Exactly." She studied him. "What do I gain?" Kyle pulled out a small envelope and slid it across the table. She didn't open it yet. "Everything you'll need to walk away with full leverage, emotionally and legally." She placed her hand over it, but kept her eyes on his. "And you?" "I walk away from Vienna the same day you leave Braden," he said. "No drama, no news articles, no scandal. Just done." "Why?" Kyle looked down briefly, then back up. "Because I'm not interested in revenge. I'm interested in clarity." And she made her choice. Cassia leaned back. "And if I say no, then I'll do what I have to. But it'll be louder." He wasn't threatening. He was transparent. Cassia appreciated that. She glanced at the envelope, then back at Kyle. "You're sure 3 months is enough time to show who they really are?" "I'm sure it's more than they deserve." She let silence linger between them. "I'll think about it," she said finally. Kyle nodded. "That's all I ask." He stood, offered a brief nod again, and left without asking for anything further. Cassia didn't move for several minutes after. She stared at the chair he'd been sitting in, then opened the envelope. Inside, a flash drive and a printed document. No note, no explanation. Whatever was in there, Kyle didn't need to explain. He trusted she'd understand. That evening, back in her hotel room, Cassia plugged the drive into her laptop. It opened instantly. No password, no encryption, just folders, labeled dates, screenshots, voicemails, one video. She didn't click the video. She didn't need to. She had seen enough in Braden's eyes. Cassia closed the laptop, and for the first time in their marriage, she didn't want him to come looking for her. She didn't want him to apologize. She wanted silence to finish what the truth had started. And tomorrow, she'd go home, not to return to him, but to prepare to leave in a way that wouldn't be rushed. Cassia Lowell Varel had never needed a stage. But if the end was coming, it would arrive without noise, just a closed door. And maybe, just maybe, someone else would be watching too, not to save her, but to confirm she was never crazy for noticing, never weak for staying too long, and never wrong for choosing to leave. Have you ever stayed silent, not because you were weak, but because you knew the truth would expose itself? If you've ever protected your peace while everyone else questioned your distance, this story is yours. Like this video if you've ever chosen quiet strength. Comment below, what's the one moment you knew you were done? And don't forget to subscribe to Mr. Charles Stories for more real, powerful narratives that respect your dignity. Cassia came home the next morning with a keycard that still worked, and a silence that didn't need to be explained. She didn't call ahead. She didn't sneak in. She walked through the front door, set her bag down, and headed upstairs. Braden was in his home office, shirtless, earbuds in, pacing during what looked like a heated virtual call. He glanced her way once, then back at the screen. He didn't wave, didn't stop the call, didn't follow her. That was the moment she knew he had no idea how far gone she already was. She stepped into the bedroom and sat on the edge of the bed, taking a slow breath. The room was immaculate, his side of the closet still color-coded, his cufflinks still arranged in rows. Her side was untouched, but her presence had been missing, and he hadn't even noticed. The housekeeper greeted her 2 hours later with a surprised smile and said, "I didn't know you were back." Neither did Braden, apparently. She nodded. Just for a while. For the rest of that day, Cassia said nothing to him. She didn't ask where he'd been while she was gone. She didn't offer an explanation for her absence. She cooked dinner quietly, plated hers, and left his on the stove. Braden didn't come to the kitchen. She went to bed at 10:15. He came in after midnight. The bed didn't dip. He slept facing away from her. Cassia wasn't offended. She wasn't surprised. She was recording every movement in her mind, like evidence, not for court, for clarity. By the end of the week, Braden had made 4 small gestures. He ordered dinner from her favorite Thai restaurant, but didn't join her at the table. He left flowers on her desk, but didn't say a word when she passed him in the hall. He texted, "You seemed tired. You okay?" She didn't reply. He forwarded her a link to a vacation resort saying, "Thought you might like this place." It wasn't the effort that annoyed her. It was the detachment. Cassia remembered when his concern looked like holding her hand at 3 a.m. when her cramps doubled her over. When his affection wasn't outsourced to door deliveries and emails. She wasn't waiting for him to come back to her. She was waiting to see if he noticed she'd already gone. It was the 3rd Friday after the board meeting when he finally spoke first. She was in the sunroom, reading. He stood in the doorway and cleared his throat. "You look comfortable." She didn't look up. "I am. I've been thinking," he said. Still, she didn't close the book. About. He walked a little closer, hands in pockets. "About us. About how I've been." Cassia turned a page. "You've been what you wanted to be. I don't want us to drift," he said quietly. She closed the book. "We didn't drift, Braden. You moved." I stood still. He didn't reply. She stood. "Let me ask you something." He nodded. "When did you stop wanting to be around me?" Braden blinked. "What?" "You heard me. I never stopped." She tilted her head. "You think distance only happens when people leave rooms, Braden? You stopped being around me long before I left." He rubbed the back of his neck. "Things got busy. Vienna was managing overseas teams. I had to travel more. You chose her." His head snapped up. "I didn't." "You chose her," she said, voice calm, not in a scandalous way. In the slow, subtle way that makes women like me feel crazy for noticing. You chose her with your time, your attention, your soft smiles. You chose her when you stopped choosing me. Braden swallowed hard. "And I let you," she added, "because I thought it was just stress, or pressure, or growing pains. But it wasn't. It was disinterest dressed as work. I never stopped caring about you. That's not what I needed," she said. "I didn't need you to care. I needed you to show up." He looked down. Then, quietly, "I'm here now." Cassia's laugh was short and soft. "You're here because you're scared." Because you remember how, that night, she didn't sleep in their room. She moved to the guest room, not with rage, not with finality, just with clarity. Braden didn't ask why. The next day, Cassia received a call from her lawyer. She asked him to prepare documents, not for divorce yet, but for realignment of certain business holdings tied to her name. She also scheduled a lunch meeting with a woman named Eleanor Grant, a well-known advisor who specialized in high-profile exits. Cassia wasn't rushing to leave. She was preparing not to beg when she did. The thing about women like her, elegant, quiet, dignified, is that people mistake them for harmless. Braden had no idea how thorough she was. She moved her holdings again. She sold a joint property under one of their LLCs and reallocated the funds to a trust with only her name. She kept her actions legal, clean, respectful. Braden never noticed, because he had never seen her as someone who would walk away. Cassia didn't blame him. She had once believed that herself. She remembered one night during their second year of marriage, when he had lost a client and came home shaken. She held him on the bathroom floor as he muttered curses and apologies, saying he wasn't enough. She had believed in his potential more than he believed in himself. But now, years later, she realized his biggest achievement had been letting her loyalty carry him, while offering none in return. A week after their sunroom conversation, Braden invited her to dinner again. This time, he cooked. He made their favorite, lemon herb chicken, garlic asparagus, roasted sweet potatoes. He wore a crisp shirt, lit candles, and put on one of her old jazz playlists. She stepped into the dining room and took it in with stillness. He pulled out a chair. She sat. They ate. He tried light conversation. She let him speak. Halfway through the meal, he leaned forward. "I miss us." Cassia tilted her head. "What is us to you?" His smile faltered. "I don't know. The way we used to laugh, travel. You and I against the world." She nodded slowly. "I remember that. It died quietly." He exhaled. "Can we get it back?" She paused. "Why now?" He hesitated. "Because I don't like this space between us." She looked down at her plate. "That's funny," she said softly. "Because I finally do." He didn't answer. They finished dinner in silence. That night, she lay in the guest room, eyes open, staring at the ceiling. She wasn't cold. She wasn't angry. She was remembering the version of herself that waited years to be seen. And quietly, that version was finally being buried. The next morning, she texted Kyle Duran. "It started. You were right," he replied 2 minutes later. "When it ends, you'll be ready. Don't flinch." She didn't. Cassia moved with precision over the next few weeks. She wasn't rushing. She was arranging. Quietly, thoroughly, and without a single raised voice. It wasn't just about separating her name from Braden's. It was about reclaiming everything she had buried under his ambition. Their estate manager contacted her with questions about upcoming renovations. For a guest property Braden had purchased under one of their shared accounts. Cassia reviewed the blueprints herself. 3 hours later, she froze the account. Braden didn't call to ask why. He texted, "Did something change with Westbridge?" She replied, "Yes." He didn't follow up. That silence was louder than anything. Cassia took meetings during the day, made smoothies at night, read until 2 a.m., and fell into bed exhausted, but whole. She was tired, not broken. And every passing day confirmed something she had long suspected. Being alone wasn't the hardest part. Feeling alone while next to someone who didn't see her, that had been harder. Braden began showing up more often, not emotionally. Physically, he lingered in the kitchen when she was there, sometimes hovering near the sink or pretending to look through cabinets. She knew his movements. These weren't habits. They were attempts without understanding. He asked her to lunch one Saturday. She declined. He said, "I'll pick something up." She said, "Don't." That night, he left the house for hours, didn't return until well after midnight. When she woke up the next morning, the guest room door was slightly ajar. A quiet peace filled her chest when she saw the hallway empty. No footsteps, no excuses, no tension. She had stopped caring about the rhythm of his returns. It was freedom disguised as stillness. Kyle texted her later that afternoon. He's getting desperate. Vienna showed up at my sister's party yesterday. Alone. Cassia stared at the message for a long time. She replied, "What did she say?" "Nothing to me." But she made sure everyone saw her. Especially the ring. Cassia didn't respond. Not because she didn't care, but because Kyle wasn't telling her for drama. He was keeping her informed. There was an unspoken trust between them now. Not romantic, not flirty, but deliberate. They had become mirror witnesses to the same downfall. One standing on each side. The next time Braden spoke to her, it was after his gym session. He walked into the kitchen, shirt damp, bottle in hand. "You've been quiet." She was slicing cucumbers. She said, "You've been loud for 2 years. I'm balancing it out." He leaned against the counter. "You think I don't notice you pulling away? I think you only notice now that I'm too far for you to reach." "Cassia, I'm trying here." She set down the knife and looked at him. "No, you're not. You're mimicking things you used to do, hoping one of them unlocks the version of me that used to care." He blinked. "You don't care anymore." She shook her head once. "Not like I used to. I cared deeply. I carried you emotionally, mentally, publicly, and I kept doing it, even when I was empty. So, no, I don't care in a way that hurts anymore. I care like someone watching a stranger fumble through an apology without understanding what they broke." Braden didn't reply. He left the room. That night, she found a printed reservation card on her dresser. "Dinner for 2. His handwriting in the corner. "Just us." She didn't show up. The next morning, she watched the security camera footage and saw him sitting alone at the restaurant table for 43 minutes. She didn't feel victorious. She felt relieved. This time, she wasn't the one sitting alone, waiting to be chosen. By midweek, Cassia finalized her personal legal protections. Her team had redrafted her stake position. She had equal voting power in the Betrayal Foundation again. The clause Braden quietly tried to amend last year had been reversed. She didn't announce it. She just waited. It took him 4 days to notice. He barged into her home office one evening, holding a red folder. "You updated the charter?" She didn't look up from her screen. "I protected what you thought I wouldn't notice. You can't do this without telling me." "I did. 3 times. You ignored all of them." Braden stepped forward, the calm starting to crack. "You really want to start a war, Cass?" She finally looked at him. "No," she said calmly, "but I'll finish one if you keep trying me." His face twitched. "Then, I made a mistake." "No," she said, "you made 100 little choices. The affair was just the loudest one." He exhaled hard. "I didn't plan for any of this." She stood. "You didn't plan. Period." He tried again. "I thought she was just someone to talk to. Someone who didn't make me feel small." Cassia raised an eyebrow. "Then you picked the wrong wife to build an empire with." His silence was sharp. Cassia walked toward the door, opened it and said, "We're not going to argue in my space. Shut the door on your way out." He left without another word. That night, Kyle called her. She didn't expect the call. Their communication had mostly stayed in text, but she answered. "Hi." His voice was steady. "Is this a bad time?" "No." He paused. "Vienna asked me today if I thought you'd ever confront her." Cassia laughed softly. "She still thinks this is a triangle. She's starting to panic." I figured. A pause. "I'm impressed," he said. She leaned against the window. "By what?" "By how calm you are." Cassia's voice softened. "I used to think love was loud. Then I realized control is quieter. And now I'm learning peace has no volume at all." Kyle didn't reply right away. "Then, when this is done, what are you going to do?" She smiled slightly. "Everything." I paused while holding him up. They didn't speak long. He didn't flirt. She didn't hint. But the call left her grounded. And that night, for the first time in years, she printed out a map of cities she used to dream of living in, back when she still believed in shared futures. She marked 3. then went to bed with the kind of stillness only women who've made their decision feel. The office buzzed louder than usual that Thursday morning. It wasn't the usual corporate energy. There was something thinner in the air. Whispers, half smiles, glances that lingered half a second too long. Cassia noticed it the moment she stepped into the glass elevator. Something had shifted. People didn't look at her the same. Not unkindly, not cruelly, but differently, like they'd seen something they weren't supposed to see. By the time she reached the 28th floor, she knew someone had spoken. Someone had shared what wasn't theirs to share. Vienna. The firm's internal culture was built around high walls, privacy, boundaries, control. But all of that collapsed with a single whisper in the wrong room. Cassia entered the boardroom first. She wore black slacks, a soft olive blouse, and no jewelry. She didn't need it. Her presence always arrived first. She set down her laptop, opened her notepad, and reviewed the notes she had drafted for the quarterly financial proposal. 3 minutes later, Braden entered. He paused when he saw her. His face didn't shift much, but his eyes moved fast, studying, searching, unsure of how she might greet him. She didn't look up. He sat 2 seats away. Vienna arrived 5 minutes late. She walked in with that same calculated grace she always carried. Soft steps, a high bun, pearl earrings, and on her left hand, a diamond band. The same one she had worn for years, but now it gleamed. She greeted the board casually, moved to her seat diagonally across from Cassia, and placed a large bottle of mineral water in front of her with both hands. That's when Cassia saw it. The swelling, subtle, barely there, but noticeable if you were paying attention. Cassia kept her expression still. Braden did not. He glanced at Vienna, once, twice, and then adjusted the sleeve of his suit jacket as if covering something more vulnerable than his wrist. The CFO began the meeting with numbers. The head of compliance jumped into internal projections. Slides clicked, charts shifted, and the room moved forward like nothing was off. But something was. The tension wasn't in the air, it was in the avoidance. The way Braden didn't speak unless prompted. The way Vienna kept her eyes on the table more than the screen. The way Cassia noticed every single one of them noticing her. At exactly 9:54 a.m., Vienna excused herself from the meeting. "Sorry, just a little lightheaded. I'll be right back." The room fell quiet for a beat, too long after she left. Cassia waited. 3 more slides. Then she closed her notebook. "I'll keep this brief," she said. Every head turned. Braden stiffened. "After reviewing the Foundation's current allocations, I'd like to shift 8.2 of the Sustainability Endowment to direct use education grants for underfunded districts." The CFO blinked. "That's a big shift." "Yes," Cassia replied, "but it's overdue. And I've already submitted the paperwork to reflect the change. I hold voting rights again." Braden leaned forward. "We should discuss this." "I've already discussed it," she said without looking at him. "With legal, compliance, and grant oversight." "You blindsided us," he said, voice tight. "No," Cassia replied. "I just moved while you weren't watching." Again, a few people in the room shifted in their seats. The head of operations coughed quietly. Cassia stood, gathered her things, and paused at the door. "I'll be stepping down from my operational role by end of quarter, but my board seat isn't up for review, and my vote isn't disappearing." Then, calm and clear, she added, "I'm not walking away, I'm stepping aside, with influence intact." That's the difference. She left without another word. Outside the boardroom, Vienna was seated on the hallway bench, her hand pressed to her temple. Cassia didn't slow down. She walked right past her, but Vienna stood. "Cassia," she stopped, didn't turn around, just waited. Vienna's voice dropped low. "You don't have to destroy him." Cassia turned, finally. "I'm not," she said. "He's doing that on his own." Vienna stepped closer. "He didn't mean to hurt you." Cassia narrowed her eyes. "That's the problem with people like you," she said quietly. "You think it's about intention, but it's always about impact." Vienna blinked. "I loved him." "No." Cassia replied. You enjoyed being the exception, but you were never the choice. Not really. I'm carrying his child, Vienna said, voice tight. And I carried his silence for 2 years, Cassia said, stepping closer, face calm. But only one of us is still carrying herself. Vienna's mouth opened. Nothing came out. Cassia walked away. At 10:32 a.m., Braden showed up in her office. He didn't knock. She looked up once, then back to her screen. We need to talk, he said. No, she said. You need to listen. He stayed by the door. I didn't know Vienna was going to pull this at the meeting. She tilted her head. So you're not upset she's pregnant. You're upset it was revealed inconveniently. I didn't say that. You didn't need to. Braden exhaled. I'm trying, Cassia. You're performing, she corrected. Trying requires effort when no one is watching. I never meant to make this public. She laughed once under her breath. Then maybe don't cheat with someone who loves being seen. I made a mistake. Again with that word, she said, standing slowly. You think this is one mistake? No, Braden. This was a series of consistent choices. Not one of them included me. I still care about you. You cared about your image more. He walked closer. I'm trying to fix this. She stared at him for a long time. Why? She asked. His lips parted, but nothing came out. Exactly, she said. Then she opened the door and stood to the side. Get out of my office. He hesitated, but left. That night, Cassia sat alone in her study, lights dimmed, phone on silent. She scrolled through an old folder of scanned photos from when she and Braden were younger. Early years of the company, vacations they barely afforded, shared meals that weren't luxurious but always full of laughter. There was a photo of her sitting on his desk, barefoot, holding a mug, laughing mid-sentence. He'd taken that photo on a whim and called her his favorite distraction. She stared at it now and felt nothing. No hate, no heartbreak, just absence. A blank space where something used to live. That was the most honest emotion of all. Not rage, not regret, just release. Kyle didn't text that evening. He called. Cassia picked up on the second ring, expecting silence but receiving something else. Laughter, not his own. It faded quickly. Hi, she said. Did I call at a bad time? No, Kyle replied. That was my niece. She's watching cartoons at full volume. Cassia smiled faintly. So, the opposite of this week. Kyle paused. I heard Vienna didn't make it through the full meeting. She left halfway. Said she was lightheaded. She's not built for exposure, he said. Neither is Braden, Cassia replied. He's unraveling. Kyle's voice dropped. You handled that boardroom like someone who already buried the version of herself who used to need their approval. I did. He didn't speak for a moment. Then, you okay? Cassia leaned back in her chair and looked out the window. I'm not angry. I'm not even relieved. I just feel like I've stepped out of a fog that only I knew I was in. That's clarity, Kyle said. No, that's survival. Another silence passed, comfortable this time. Kyle spoke again. Vienna's family reached out to me this morning. For what? To ask if I plan to disrupt her emotional health. Their words. Cassia didn't laugh, but her eyebrow arched. Did they forget she disrupted 2 marriages? They don't see it that way. They think she's fragile, hormonal, manipulated, and she's none of those things, Cassia said. She's calculated. That pregnancy wasn't accidental. I know. They both let the weight of that hang. Are you planning to go public? Kyle asked. Cassia thought about it, about interviews, about statements, about how easily the press would twist her strength into bitterness. No, she said, I'm going to let her keep center stage, but I'll make sure the lights are harsh. Kyle didn't reply, but Cassia knew he understood. The next day, Braden returned home early, earlier than usual anyway. Cassia was in the garden, watering potted herbs on the west patio. He stood by the open door for a moment, then stepped out. You've been out here a lot. It's quiet. He hesitated. Can we talk? No. He blinked. She set the watering can down and turned toward him. You keep trying to explain something that already spoke for itself. I made a mistake. You keep saying that. What's the mistake, Braden? Be specific. He opened his mouth, then closed it. Cassia waited. That I got too close, he finally said. Too close to what? Vienna? Or the version of yourself that let her in? His throat moved. He didn't answer. I didn't break this marriage, she said. You loosened every bolt. I just stopped holding the roof up alone. I thought you'd leave sooner. Her eyebrows rose. You thought I'd leave? I thought if I pushed far enough, you'd walk away and save me from having to choose. She stared at him. There it was, the root of his weakness, finally exposed. You wanted me to do your dirty work for you, she said. He didn't deny it. I wanted freedom, he muttered. And instead, you got consequences. He looked up, voice sharper now. You think you're the only one hurting? No, but I'm the only one who's healing. Cassia walked past him. That night, she wrote in a journal she hadn't touched in 6 months. Not about Braden, about herself, her boundaries, her new definitions of loyalty, her understanding that some men don't lie with words. They lie with their silence, their patterns, their emotional absence. And that realization wasn't painful anymore. It was permission. 2 days later, she was invited to a gala, a fundraiser for mental health, awareness hosted by one of the city's oldest philanthropic circles. She didn't plan to attend at first, but something shifted. She texted her stylist. 3 hours later, a sleek navy gown hung in her dressing room. Not seductive, not safe, commanding. She wore it like armor. That night, when she stepped onto the event floor, the hush was brief but potent. She wasn't Braden Verrell's wife tonight. She was Cassia Lowell again. Halfway through the evening, she gave a short speech. It wasn't personal, not obviously, but her words didn't miss. We don't talk enough about invisible grief, she said. The kind you carry when no one sees what you've lost, because what you lost was trust, or dignity, or years of silent effort. People didn't clap right away. They sat with it. Then the applause came. She stepped off the stage, weaving through murmurs and compliments, and reached for a glass of sparkling water. She didn't see Kyle until he was right behind her. He didn't say anything, just set his glass beside hers. She turned slightly. Didn't expect to see you here. My sister's on the board. Dragged me in last minute. Well, you clean up, you armor up, he said. She smiled. That's intentional. They didn't talk long, but when they parted, he leaned in slightly, voice low. You look like yourself up there. Cassia nodded. I finally feel like myself. The next morning, Braden was already in the kitchen when she came downstairs. He poured 2 cups of coffee, set one in front of her. Cassia sat, took a sip, and waited. He didn't speak for nearly a minute. Then softly, you looked good last night. She met his eyes. Better than I did on the nights you lied to me. He flinched. I didn't mean it like that. But that's how it lands. I know I messed up, he said. And I know I kept messing up. But watching you walk through that room like nothing touched you. Cassia's voice was calm. It's not that nothing touched me. It's that I learned how to stay whole while being touched. Braden exhaled. I thought I wanted something else, he admitted. But I didn't realize what I had until I saw what you looked like without me. Cassia stirred her coffee once, and I didn't realize how small I felt beside you until I stopped needing to shrink. Braden reached for her hand. She moved it to her lap. He paused, took the hint. I still want to fight for us, he said. You're too late. I don't believe that. You don't have to, she said, but I do. And that was the end of it. There were no raised voices, no shattered cups, no slammed doors. Just 2 people who no longer spoke the same emotional language. Cassia left the kitchen, phone in hand. There was a message waiting. From Kyle. No words, just a photo. A quiet trail in a coastal park they had both mentioned once in passing. Her reply came seconds later. Let me know what day. Cassia didn't need anyone to tell her when the end had arrived. It wasn't marked by a slammed door or a signature on a legal file. It came in a quiet moment on a Tuesday afternoon as she stepped out of her favorite bookstore with 2 novels, a pressed juice, and no need to explain her whereabouts. There had always been a version of her that moved through life with one eye on Braden, his moods, his calendar, his needs. That version no longer existed. She drove with the windows down, no music, just the hum of peace. By the time she pulled into her driveway, her phone buzzed with a message from an unfamiliar number. "Cassia, it's Kyle. There's something you need to see." She read it twice, then once more. No punctuation, no urgency in tone, but the timing said everything. She replied, "Where?" A single address followed, an upscale downtown building with a quiet reputation for private meetings and executive arbitration. Cassia changed into flat shoes, pulled her coat over her blouse, and left the house without alerting Braden. She didn't owe anyone her schedule anymore. The building had no sign, just a number etched into stone beside a polished glass door. Inside, a security guard greeted her by name and offered her a keycard for the elevator. She took it without speaking. Kyle was waiting on the 18th floor, standing beside a narrow table set with 2 glasses of water and a file folder. He didn't reach for a handshake. "Thank you for coming. You said there's something I need to see." He nodded. "Let's start with the agreement." She sat. He slid the file across the table. "This is a mutual delay arrangement. No legal action, no press, no statement. 90 days. You hold your line, I hold mine. And at the end, freedom. On our terms." Cassia opened the file. The wording was clean. No loopholes, no traps. A coordinated silence, not out of fear, but power. And the benefit? Kyle tapped the second page. "You'll find leverage that's not emotional. It's documented, time-stamped, detailed. From 6 months of private surveillance, digital trails, voice recordings, transactions." She looked at him. "You had her followed." "I had them followed," he corrected. "Not because I didn't trust her, but because I stopped trusting my own excuses." Cassia didn't blink. "Why show this to me?" "Because you deserve truth without emotional filter." She turned the page. Photos, emails, hotel transactions. One receipt dated on her birthday, $2,100 dinner, 2 entrees, 1 private room. A photo of Vienna wearing a red dress Cassia had seen once, on a hanger in Braden's dry cleaning order. She closed the file. Kyle didn't rush her. She looked up. "What happens if I break the 90 days? "You won't," he said, "because you've waited this long. What's 90% more to make the exit clean?" Cassia folded her hands. "And you?" "I walk the same day you do, quietly. No damage. None from me," he said. "They'll do that to each other." She studied him. "What do you get out of this, Kyle? Other than closure?" Kyle's voice was steady. "I get to end this with dignity, just like you." Cassia didn't answer right away. Then, she picked up the pen beside the folder. "I want 3 clauses added." He nodded. "Say them. 1. No contact with me through Vienna. Direct only. Agreed. 2. If public media picks it up, we respond individually. No statements tied to each other. Done. 3. I reserve the right to walk early if a legal line is crossed. Any kind." Kyle nodded. "Fair." She signed. He signed. Then he stood. "That's it. That's everything," he said. Cassia stood, but didn't move toward the door. "Kyle," he looked at her, "why didn't you leave her earlier?" He exhaled through his nose. "Because I was waiting for the version of her that I married to come back." Cassia nodded slowly. "And she never left," he said. "She just never existed the way I thought she did." Cassia blinked. "I told myself she was kind, lonely, stuck. And now, I see her for what she is, and what she's not." Cassia turned toward the elevator. Kyle followed, in silence. When they reached the lobby, he paused beside the door. "You still love Braden?" She didn't hesitate. I love the version of me that believed in him, but not him. Kyle nodded. That's enough clarity. She walked out first, didn't look back. That night, Braden noticed something different in her silence. It wasn't cold. It wasn't bitter. It was final. She ate dinner at the long marble counter in the kitchen, while he paced in the living room on a conference call. He glanced at her between points, trying to catch her gaze. She didn't offer it. When he finished the call, he joined her in the kitchen. You're quieter than usual, he said. She set down her fork. I'm just not pretending anymore. He frowned. Pretending. To believe this works. To believe you still know how to reach me. Braden sat across from her. I want to fix it. Cassia looked at him without emotion. I already signed the paper. He stilled. What paper? The one that keeps you from painting me as the woman who didn't try. His face fell. Are you divorcing me? She smiled faintly. I'm unbinding myself. Braden looked down. Is there someone else? Cassia stood. No. There's finally just me. She walked upstairs without waiting for a response. Braden didn't sleep that night. He stared at the ceiling for hours, trying to stitch together the pieces of a marriage that had quietly bled out long before Cassia ever picked up a pen. Somewhere between his ambition and her silence, the damage had been done, and he'd mistaken her quiet for understanding instead of distance. By morning, Cassia was already dressed. She wore a crisp blouse and her hair pulled back, not tight, but firm. There was no sadness in her face, no hostility either, only clarity. I booked a hotel, she said, as she set her coffee down on the kitchen island. Just for the next few days. Braden straightened in the doorway. We can talk, Cass. We don't need space. You need space, she said calmly, to hear your own voice, without mine cushioning the edges. You're walking out? I'm walking forward, she replied. There's a difference. He stepped closer, unsure if it would help. Are you saying it's over? I'm saying, I'm not waiting anymore. Waiting for what? For you to choose me over your convenience. Braden's jaw tensed. You think that's what this is? I know exactly what this is. A pattern, a comfort zone, one where I absorb everything and you offer promises as distraction. He swallowed hard. What about everything we built? Cassia gave a small, almost sad smile. You built a life. I built a tolerance. She picked up her keys, then paused. I'll come back for the rest of my things later. You'll know when I'm done. Braden didn't reach for her, didn't argue. He just watched her walk out. The silence afterward wasn't the kind that lingered. It echoed. Cassia checked into the hotel under a name only her assistant knew. The suite overlooked the river. Clean lines, soft light, peaceful. No curated floral deliveries. No texts asking where she was. She turned her phone off. That night, she took herself to dinner. No makeup, just quiet confidence and a simple black dress. Halfway through her meal, the waiter delivered a note on a folded napkin. She opened it. Don't worry, I didn't follow you. I just happened to be in the same mood. She looked up. Kyle stood at the bar, not watching her but waiting for his order. Cassia nodded once, then returned to her food. When he passed by to leave, he paused only briefly. No expectations, just respect, he said quietly. Thank you, she replied. And he left. 3 days later, Vienna's name hit a small gossip blog in the most unflattering light. Cassia received an alert from a private media monitor, not a dramatic headline, but a quiet link that had started spreading. The story was simple. A blurred photo, an unnamed executive spouse, a hotel suite. Kyle called 10 minutes later. I didn't do it. I know, Cassia said. She did. Damage control? More like panic. Kyle sighed. It's going to escalate. I'm ready, she replied. You shouldn't have to be. But I am. He paused. I've drafted a separate clause for you. An exit earlier than 90 days if things spiral. I'll review it. But I'm not moving in fear. Neither am I, Kyle said. But you shouldn't absorb the fallout meant for someone else. Cassia said nothing. Kyle continued. You were always more composed than she gave you credit for, and you were always more observant than Braden ever noticed. He let the silence sit before asking, "Do you want me to respond publicly if this gets worse?" "No," Cassia said. "Let her burn her own narrative. We stay clean." He agreed. Meanwhile, Braden was unraveling. His team noticed the shift, distracted meetings, vague instructions, forgotten deadlines. His assistant gently suggested a break. He refused. Instead, he tried to reclaim control at home. Flowers showed up at Cassia's hotel. No card, then a new handbag, then a handwritten note. "I don't know who I became, but I remember who you are." She didn't respond. Instead, she had the hotel front desk return everything unopened. Her boundaries weren't punishments, they were proof she'd changed. Vienna showed up on Cassia's doorstep 5 days later. Cassia wasn't home, but the hotel concierge saw the woman pacing outside, wearing sunglasses and tight fear. She left after an hour. Cassia reviewed the security footage calmly that night. She called Kyle. "She's unraveling. She thinks you're stealing her husband." Cassia chuckled softly. "I'm not stealing anything. I gave him back to himself." Kyle's voice was low, and she's never had to compete with self-worth before. Cassia leaned against the window. "I'm not trying to win." "I know," Kyle said. "That's why you are." The next board meeting at Braden's company felt like an ambush, not because of Cassia, but because of numbers. Vienna had made missteps, risky ones. On paper, they looked like oversight, but when Braden traced them back, it was clear she'd rerouted funds for personal use, covered by inflated vendor invoices. He called her into his office. "Sit." Vienna smiled faintly. "This about the client dinner? This is about the wire transfers you authorized under a shell vendor." Her face changed. Still calm, but alert. "Are you accusing me of theft?" "I'm showing you evidence," Braden replied, dropping the printed documents on his desk. Vienna picked up the papers. "I did what I had to do," she said, voice cool. "To cover what?" "Your image, our comfort." "You were distracted." Braden stared. "You stole." "I compensated myself." "For what?" "For being the only one who stayed when your wife stopped looking at you." Braden's jaw tightened. "Get out of my office." Vienna narrowed her eyes. "You're choosing her now." Braden didn't flinch. "I'm choosing the truth." Vienna stepped closer. "She'll never forgive you." "She already did," he said. "That's why she walked away." "Forgiveness doesn't mean return." Vienna slapped the papers down and left. Cassia received the news the next morning. Kyle forwarded a headline. "Executive faces internal review over fund mismanagement, no names yet." But the writing was clear. Cassia closed the article and looked out at the river. She didn't smile, didn't gloat. She just breathed. Kyle called. "No press release yet." "Doesn't matter," Cassia said. "We never needed revenge. Just truth." Kyle was quiet. "And you got yours. Did you?" He hesitated. "Not yet." Cassia nodded slowly. "Then, maybe one day, we both will." Kyle didn't call the next day. He didn't text either. And for the first time in weeks, Cassia noticed the absence. Not with anxiety, not with fear, but with a quiet curiosity. She wasn't waiting. But something in her noticed his stillness. It wasn't silence. It was space. By evening, she found herself walking along the riverbank, coat zipped, high scarf tucked tight, the December air cool against her cheek. Her steps were steady, mind focused. She didn't need answers, but she wanted understanding. She had been numb for so long in her marriage that stillness used to feel like safety. But now, she was learning that peace didn't have to be silent, and attention didn't have to be controlling. Kyle had never demanded anything, never pushed, never insisted. He simply saw her. That night, she returned to her hotel, took a long shower, and wrote a note to herself on the back of a receipt. "I don't need to chase what respects me." She folded it and slid it into her bag. The next morning, a single text arrived from Kyle. "Coffee. Lobby, noon. If you want, no pressure. Cassia hesitated, not because she was unsure, but because her choices were now hers alone. She replied, "I'll see you there." Kyle was already seated when she arrived, 2 cappuccinos in front of him, one without foam, just how she liked it. Cassia slid into the chair across from him, expression calm. "You're consistent," she said. "I respect timing," Kyle replied. "And yours matters." She sipped her coffee. "So why today?" He didn't rush to explain. "Because I needed to let the dust settle. Vienna's spiral isn't yours to sweep up." "I know," Cassia said softly, "but the wind blows wide. And I've stopped trying to block it." Kyle studied her. "Are you okay?" Cassia set down her cup. "I'm not broken. I'm also not trying to prove that I'm fine. I'm just here." Kyle nodded. "That's enough." They sat quietly for a moment. Cassia eventually asked, "What now?" Kyle's brow lifted. "For you or for him?" "For me," she clarified. He leaned forward. "Now you rebuild." Without reacting to wreckage, she looked at him, eyes steady. "And for you?" He smiled faintly. "Now I let you lead. Wherever you want this to go." Cassia leaned back. "What if I want stillness?" "I'll be quiet with you," he said. It wasn't flirtation, it wasn't performance, it was presence. Cassia finished her coffee, and when she stood to leave, she looked at him. "I'll let you know when I'm ready." Kyle didn't follow her out, didn't ask when. She respected that more than any grand gesture. Braden wasn't sleeping much. The office was under internal audit, and while his name wasn't directly tied to Vienna's missteps, the optics were rough. Investors were asking questions. HR was reviewing employee conduct. His company was bleeding trust. He stared at an old photo on his desk. Cassia, at one of their first charity events, a simple black gown, her hair in a soft twist, eyes sharp, smile faint but grounded. He hadn't appreciated her then. Not truly. He had worn her like an accessory, presented her as proof of balance, but he never invited her into the core of his world, only into the periphery. And now, the center had crumbled. Braden grabbed his coat and left the building without a word. He didn't go home. He drove to the first apartment he and Cassia shared. It was a small walk-up, nothing extravagant, no doorman, just brick walls, cheap flooring, and late-night grocery runs. He stood on the opposite sidewalk and stared at the window that used to be theirs. And for the first time, he realized that's where the marriage had been real, not in the penthouse, not at the galas, but there, where she cooked pasta on Fridays, and he fell asleep with reports on his lap, and she covered him with a blanket without a word. His throat tightened. It was too late. But maybe he could still become someone worth remembering with grace, not regret. He pulled out his phone and deleted Vienna's number. Kyle had a meeting with his legal team the next afternoon. He didn't speak much, just listened, took notes, signed where needed. His mind wasn't on the clause Vienna was fighting, or the NDA she suddenly wanted amended. He was thinking about Cassia, not in a romantic blur, but with the respect of someone who had seen what integrity looked like under pressure. After the meeting, he stepped out and made one call to his assistant. Send flowers to Cassia, the hotel, under her alias. But no card. You sure? Kyle smiled faintly. If she wants to ask who they're from, she will. And if not, she'll know. Cassia returned from a walk to find a bouquet on the table in her suite. White, ranunculus, clean, thoughtful, no card. She stared at it for a full minute, then opened her notebook and wrote a line. Not every gift comes with noise. She didn't call Kyle. She didn't need to, but she left the bouquet in the center of the room. Visible, soft, acknowledged. Vienna's silence didn't last long. 2 days later, she called Cassia. Blocked number. Cassia answered, not because she was curious, but because she was ready. Vienna didn't greet her, just jumped in. I loved him. Cassia didn't blink. I don't doubt that. I wasn't trying to ruin your marriage. You didn't. We did that ourselves. Vienna paused. I was angry you left and he still loved you. Cassia was calm. Anger's not ownership. It's fear in disguise. Vienna's voice cracked. He's shutting me out. I didn't ask him to. You don't have to. Cassia sighed softly. Vienna, if you're calling for peace, I'm open. But if you're calling for guilt, I'm out. There was silence. Then Vienna said, he's going to erase me. Cassia's voice was level. Then make your next chapter your own. Don't beg to stay in someone else's. Vienna didn't reply. Cassia hung up, then turned off her phone again. That night, Kyle showed up in the hotel lounge. No warning, no expectation, just sat 2 tables away, reading something on his phone, sipping bourbon slowly. Cassia walked past him on her way to the elevator. She paused. He didn't look up, but he said, "There's a full moon tomorrow." She smiled. "Is that your way of asking me to dinner?" He still didn't look at her. "No. That's my way of saying, I'll be on the rooftop terrace at 8 p.m. if you want space under the sky." Cassia nodded once and walked on. Kyle didn't call the next day. He didn't text either. Cassia noticed, not with panic, not with longing, but with awareness. It wasn't silence this time. It was space. Room to breathe without being watched. Space that didn't demand explanation. By evening, she was walking along the riverbank, coat zipped up, scarf tucked around her chin. The December wind bit gently at her cheeks, but her steps didn't waver. She wasn't lost. She wasn't waiting. She was choosing stillness. In her marriage, silence had once meant danger. Absence was how Braden punished her. His quiet spells always came with consequence. But Kyle's stillness felt different. Not the kind that left her guessing, but the kind that gave her room. When she returned to her suite, she stood by the window and whispered aloud, "I'm not waiting for anything, but I notice what doesn't hurt." She took a long shower, pulled on fresh clothes, and jotted a note on the back of a hotel notepad. "I don't chase what holds me gently." She folded it and slid it between the pages of her journal. The next morning, a message arrived. "Coffee, lobby, noon, if you want." Just that. No pressure, no punctuation of emotion, just space offered, not seized. Cassia read it twice. She replied only once, "I'll see you there." When she arrived, Kyle was already seated. 2 cappuccinos in front of him. One had no foam. She hadn't told him that. But he had remembered. Cassia slipped into the seat across from him. She didn't smile, but she didn't need to. "You're precise," she said. "I pay attention," he replied. She lifted the cup. "Why today?" Kyle leaned back. "Because the dust needed to settle. I wanted to see where you stood when it did. And you're standing," he said. "That matters." Cassia didn't argue, didn't downplay it. "It does." They sipped in quiet for a minute. Kyle eventually asked, "What's next for you?" "For me?" Cassia tilted her head. "I go forward. No reacting, no chasing storms." Kyle nodded once. "You always had more clarity than you were allowed to express." She studied him. "And for you?" He answered slowly. "I'll match your pace. Nothing more." Cassia finished her drink. "What if I don't move?" "I'll sit with you." Not flirtation, not persuasion. Presence. She stood. He didn't follow. She turned to him. "I'll let you know." Kyle didn't press for when. She respected that more than any invitation. Braden hadn't slept much. The audit had grown louder. His role wasn't directly under fire, but questions were circling. Vienna's fall had splashed mud on more than just her shoes. Investors were nervous. HR was digging. Trust was bleeding from the edges. He sat at his desk, staring at a framed photo. Cassia in a black gown, hair twisted up, standing beside him at a fundraiser. He'd never realized how out of place she looked in those rooms. Not because she wasn't elegant, but because she didn't need the noise. She wasn't trying to impress anyone. She never had. He had. Always. He put the frame down, not face down, just away. Grabbing his coat, Braden walked out of the office without speaking to anyone. He didn't go home. He drove for 30 minutes, parked on a side street, and got out. Across the road stood the building they once lived in, their first place after marriage, a walk-up with no elevator, tiny windows, and plumbing that creaked. Cassia loved that place. She made it warm, filled it with books and little touches. Friday nights, she made pasta. Sunday mornings, she left notes on his mug. Braden stared at the third window, and it hit him. That was the last place he remembered laughing with her. Not polite chuckles. Real laughter. Before his ambition outran their intimacy. He took a breath, then opened his phone and erased Vienna's number. No explanation, no grand finality, just deletion. Kyle sat in a boardroom the next day, listening as his legal team walked through the fallout of Vienna's contract breach. He wasn't focused on the clauses. He wasn't thinking about the NDA Vienna now wanted adjusted to protect her future image. His mind was on Cassia, not romantically, but with admiration. He'd seen dignity before, but never under that kind of fire. After the meeting, he stepped outside, looked at the sky for a moment, and made a single call. To whom should I send these flowers? His assistant asked. Cassia, under her alias at the hotel. But don't attach a card. You sure? She'll know. And if she doesn't, she'll still understand the intention. Cassia returned from her walk that evening to find a bouquet waiting on the side table. White, ranunculus, soft, simple, silent, no note, no guesswork, just presence. She didn't ask anyone where it came from. She didn't have to. Instead, she opened her journal and wrote a line. Some things don't need explanation to be understood. She didn't text Kyle, but she didn't put the bouquet aside either. She placed it in the center of the suite, not hidden, visible, seen. 2 days later, her phone rang. Blocked number. Cassia answered anyway. She wasn't afraid of echoes anymore. Cassia, Vienna's voice said without greeting. I loved him. I believe that, Cassia replied calmly. I didn't mean to ruin what you had. You didn't. We did that without you. Vienna's voice dropped. He's shutting me out. Cassia stayed quiet. Vienna pressed on. He still loves you. I know it. That's not my decision to confirm, Cassia said. I was angry when you left. That he couldn't stop thinking about you. Cassia exhaled. Anger and love aren't the same thing. One protects, the other destroys when left unchecked. I didn't expect to fall for him, Vienna whispered. I didn't expect him to choose noise over truth, Cassia replied. But here we are. Silence pulsed through the call. Then Vienna asked, what do I do now? Cassia spoke softly, but without softness. You rebuild your life on something more than borrowed power. Vienna didn't answer. Cassia ended the call, then blocked the number. That night, Kyle showed up in the hotel lounge. No invitation, no pressure. He sat 2 tables from Cassia, scrolling his phone, a glass of bourbon at his side. He didn't approach. Cassia noticed him, passed his table on her way to the elevator, and paused. Kyle didn't look up, but he said, tomorrow's a full moon. She didn't move. He added, I'll be on the rooftop terrace at 8. If you want a seat beneath the sky. She smiled faintly, then walked on. No promises, but not no. If you've ever chosen peace over proving a point, then you understand Cassia's silence. Comment below, what did this chapter make you feel? Your thoughts help others reflect too. And if you believe in stories that carry strength, healing, real lessons, subscribe to Mr. Charles Stories. We share moments that stay with you long after the story ends. Cassia left the city the next morning. No grand exit, no explanation. She booked a short flight, turned off her phone, and checked into a quiet villa 2 hours outside Charleston. The place had no concierge, no lobby chatter, no spa music humming through the walls. Just one window with a view of the marsh and the occasional sound of wind pushing against pine. She didn't go there to clear her head. She went because she needed space between her thoughts. A full 5 days passed. Not silence, just stillness. Cassia took walks every morning. No headphones, no distractions. She journaled at noon. She cooked pasta in a skillet too small and read a novel she didn't finish. Kyle didn't text. He hadn't called since the rooftop. She didn't expect him to. He had given her the space she asked for, without punishing her for needing it. That was new. By the third night, after a long dinner alone, she opened her laptop and typed, "Kyle, thank you for letting me breathe." The rooftop was kind. "I don't know what I want yet, but I'm not afraid to find out." See, she didn't send it right away. She left it in drafts. The next afternoon, she sent it without rereading. Kyle responded an hour later. No clocks, no expectations, just presence. Whenever you're ready, no emoji, no punctuation games, just him. Cassia didn't feel butterflies. She felt grounded. That was rarer. She returned to the city 2 days later, arriving on a quiet Tuesday evening. She didn't go straight to her apartment. She stopped at a coffee shop she used to love and sat by the window for an hour with her coat still on. The barista didn't recognize her. No one did. She liked that. It reminded her she wasn't someone's wife anymore, not someone's checkbox or elegant +1. She was just Cassia. By the time she got home, her neighbor's cat was sitting on her welcome mat like it had been fed there for years. Cassia unlocked the door, stepped inside, and dropped her keys on the console. She took a breath. Her apartment still smelled like eucalyptus and faint vanilla, unused but untouched. She didn't cry. She didn't collapse. She just changed into socks, microwaved soup, and lit a candle. Then she opened her laptop again, this time to work. A week passed. Kyle didn't push. He sent her an article once, an op-ed on emotional labor and the business of empathy. Another time, he sent a photo of a dog sitting on a piano bench with a caption. His performance was brief but honest, nothing intrusive, no pressure. And Cassia, to her surprise, found herself smiling when his name popped up. Not because she was waiting, but because she wasn't. Braden hadn't slept a full night since Cassia left. His firm had launched an internal audit. The ethics committee scheduled interviews. Clients were asking hard questions, and Braden, once the calm voice in any storm, was starting to fray. Vienna had vanished. Her resignation was swift, her final email brief, effective immediately. Please forward all future correspondence to legal. Braden hadn't heard from her since. He didn't try. Instead, he sat at his office desk late into the evening scrolling through years of emails from Cassia, things he had once skimmed or forwarded without care, volunteer schedules, anniversary dinner options, gentle reminders about his father's medication, all the things she carried without praise or platform, and all the things he never truly saw. On Thursday, he booked a session with a therapist, under a different name, not because he feared exposure, because he wasn't ready to admit, even in healing, who he had become. Kyle was in Chicago for a business review when he saw Cassia again. Not planned, not arranged. He was at a jazz bar off South Wabash, waiting for an associate who never showed. He had finished his drink and was listening to the trumpet player warm up when he looked up, and she walked in. Cassia, in a navy coat, scarf undone, hair down, alone. She didn't see him at first. She was focused on the stage, looking for a table near the front. Kyle stayed where he was, half hidden near the back. She finally spotted him as she turned to leave. Her eyes landed on him, widened slightly, but she didn't flinch. She walked over, slow but sure. Kyle stood, not wanting to seem passive. Cassia stopped 2 feet from him. "I didn't know you were in town," she said. "I wasn't supposed to be," Kyle replied. "You here for business?" Was. It ended early. They looked at each other for a beat. The music hadn't started yet. "Mind if I sit?" she asked. He stepped aside. She slid into the seat opposite him. Kyle didn't comment on the coincidence. He didn't push the moment. They ordered drinks, listened to 2 sets, didn't talk much. When the lights dimmed for intermission, Cassia leaned back, fingers resting on her glass. "I like this," she said. The music? No, she answered quietly. The quiet between people who don't need to fill space. Kyle looked at her, expression unreadable. You're calmer. I'm not as afraid of the silence anymore, she said, because it's not hiding something. He nodded. Or someone. Cassia tilted her head. And you? Kyle exhaled slowly. I stopped chasing clarity, started respecting confusion. Turns out there's peace in the unknown. Their drinks were half full, untouched since the second set started. Cassia tapped her fingers once against the table. I used to think ease was the opposite of passion. Kyle met her eyes. And now? Now I think tension doesn't always mean connection. He smiled faintly. You're learning fast. She smiled back. I'm learning quiet. He raised his glass. To that, she clinked hers gently against his. To quiet. They didn't kiss. They didn't linger too long. When they left, they walked separately. No expectations, no promises. Cassia didn't look back, but Kyle did. Not with longing, with respect. Kyle stayed in Chicago 2 more days. Not to chase her, to sit with what her presence stirred. He didn't reach out, didn't ask if she wanted lunch or a walk. He left the city the way he arrived, quiet, focused, and carrying something that felt heavier but clearer. Back in New York, he resumed work as usual. Except nothing was usual anymore. He began arriving later, not because he woke up late, but because he lingered over breakfast. Tea instead of black coffee, oatmeal over email. He started making time for the little things. Morning walks without music, weekly check-ins with his assistant, not for performance, but wellness. His team noticed the difference, but no one said anything out loud. Kyle wasn't trying to be softer, he was trying to be honest, and for the first time, those two things weren't at war. Cassia didn't go home right after the jazz bar. She spent the night at a friend's guest loft nearby. No conversations, no over-analysis. She just sat with the warmth of that quiet table, and the way Kyle hadn't reached for her or forced anything. She had expected him to do something, anything, to push the moment, to ask for another night, to pull her into a memory. He didn't. That restraint was louder than longing. When she returned to New York, she didn't fall into nostalgia. She unpacked slowly, sorted laundry, cleaned the pantry, read the last 5 entries in her journal. Then she called her lawyer, not to file anything new, to cancel the final mediation scheduled with Braden's legal team. There was nothing left to mediate. She didn't want the apartment. She didn't want the car. She didn't want the garden furniture, or the lake house schedule, or the mutual art donations. She wanted distance. Cassia requested everything be transferred quietly. She kept her maiden name, not out of anger, out of clarity. Braden didn't contest it. By then, the firm had confirmed Vienna's breach. She had altered meeting logs, redirected client routing slips, and backdated internal memos, all to protect Braden's reputation and secure her own rise. HR labeled it deliberate misconduct. The board wanted Braden to step down. He refused. Instead, he took a leave. 3 months, unpaid. He issued no public statement, just an internal memo with a single line. I failed to listen where it mattered most. He didn't say more. He didn't need to. Cassia moved into a new space mid-month, a brownstone sublet near the park. Smaller, older, but warmer in the ways that mattered. Her neighbors waved. Her landlord answered calls without attitude. The kitchen had a chipped counter, but she could see the street while she cooked. It felt like hers. She started teaching again, guest lecturing at a community program for women in mid-career pivots. Not full-time, just once a week. She taught negotiation, workplace boundaries, and writing with emotional clarity. Her students weren't impressed by her degrees. They listened because she didn't pretend to have all the answers. Cassia had learned how to admit when she hadn't healed. That honesty gave others permission to do the same. One afternoon, after class, a young woman stopped her on the sidewalk. You said something last week, the student said, about being strong but not stubborn. Cassia nodded. Yes, I've never heard it said that way. the woman added. It made me call my mom, just to listen. Cassia smiled, heart full. She didn't need applause. That moment was enough. Kyle didn't reach out. 3 weeks passed, not because he didn't care, because he understood now that caring wasn't measured by presence, it was measured by permission, and Cassia hadn't given that yet. Still, she thought about him often, not as a goal, as a mirror. His silence didn't feel like absence, it felt like room. She wasn't used to that. Most men she had known confused stillness with indifference. Kyle somehow made it feel like grace. One Sunday, she sat at her kitchen table, sipping tea. A soft playlist hummed in the background. Her phone buzzed once. Kyle, would it be welcome if I mailed you something? Not urgent, not romantic, just real. Cassia stared at the screen, then typed, I'll send you the address. No expectations. He replied 2 minutes later, none. Only intention. The next Thursday, a small package arrived. Inside, a single hardback book, The Anatomy of Sincerity. No note, no card. But in the inside cover, written in careful script, your silence taught me how to listen. Cassia didn't cry. She closed the book, placed it on the nightstand, and exhaled like someone who had just been seen without armor. She didn't rush to respond. She didn't have to. That evening, she texted, would you like tea next week? No assumptions, just space. Kyle replied the next day. Name the time. They met the following Wednesday. Late afternoon. A quiet cafe Cassia picked, one with no Wi-Fi, and classical music playing from a dusty speaker overhead. She arrived first. Kyle came 5 minutes later. He didn't bring flowers. He didn't wear a suit, just jeans, a sweater, and the same calm she'd seen in Chicago. They sat outside, no small talk. Cassia stirred honey into her tea. Kyle added lemon to his. 10 minutes passed, 15. Then Cassia said, softly, you've changed. Kyle didn't smile. He nodded. I had to. Why? Because love isn't earned by confession. It's earned by correction. Cassia blinked. Say that again. Kyle leaned forward. I thought telling you I'd changed was enough, but showing you who I became while you weren't watching, that's where love lives. Her throat caught. She looked away. Kyle waited. No reach. No rush. Cassia cleared her throat. What do you want, Kyle? He didn't pause. Your peace. Whether I'm part of it or not. Silence followed. Not heavy. Not expectant. Just true. Cassia nodded. Then whispered, come again next week. Cassia didn't tell anyone she was seeing Kyle again. It wasn't a secret, but it wasn't news either. Some things were meant to grow in quiet. They met once a week, always the same time, always her pick of place. Sometimes it was a park bench, sometimes a bookstore lounge. Once, it was the back corner of a museum cafe where they barely spoke for an hour, just looked at art and left. There were no labels, no pressure, just two people sharing air without pretending the past didn't exist. Kyle never asked to hold her hand. Cassia never lingered longer than her comfort allowed. They didn't touch, but something inside both of them was being touched. And that was enough. Cassia's friends noticed the softness. Her tone changed. Her restlessness steadied. She no longer checked her phone 3 times an hour or flinched when the doorbell rang. She started humming while she cooked. Sleeping without medication, the woman who once mapped her escape routes in every room now lingered in. Her own hallway mirror, fixing her scarf with care before heading out. Healing wasn't loud, but it was visible. Kyle was healing too. The company had grown used to his calm. He stopped overbooking meetings. He started writing handwritten thank yous on staff birthdays, not performative, intentional. He hired a third-party team to review internal culture, not because of backlash, but because he didn't trust his own blind spots anymore. His board asked why. He answered, because I want truth, not applause. That shut down the questions. He wasn't trying to save face anymore. He was trying to live with it. 2 months passed. Then 3. Cassia didn't bring up the past. Kyle didn't explain the old version of himself. They didn't name what they were building. And strangely, that made the space safer. One Thursday, Cassia asked him to walk with her to the farmer's market. It was raining. Kyle showed up with a single umbrella. When they met under the archway, she raised an eyebrow. No separate coverage? Kyle smiled. I thought we were trying together, weather included. Cassia held the stare for a second too long, then stepped under the umbrella beside him. They walked slowly. It wasn't romantic, it was intimate. Every shared silence deepened the ground they stood on. At one stall, Kyle picked up a small jar of raspberry preserve and handed it to her. Cassia turned it over, checking ingredients. Do you know I used to make this? No, but I believe it. Why? Because you never needed wealth to create something sweet. Cassia froze, not because he flattered her, because he saw her. She placed the jar back, then added 2 to her basket. That night, she journaled, not about him, about herself. She wrote, I don't need to be the version he regrets. I want to be the version I respect. The following week, they didn't meet. Cassia had a lecture series. Kyle had a board retreat. But they texted once, only once. Kyle, you'll do well. You're not just articulate, you're true. Cassia, don't forget to eat. You still skip dinner when you think too much. Kyle, not anymore. I've got raspberry preserve now. She didn't reply. She just smiled at the screen like it whispered her name in a way the world didn't anymore. The day they met again, Cassia wore white, not by design, by instinct. Kyle noticed, but said nothing. They sat across from each other at a small courtyard cafe with hanging lights. He didn't compliment her. He looked at her like she hadn't disappeared. Cassia sipped her tea. I saw Braden last week. Kyle blinked once. Do you want to talk about it? Cassia shrugged. Not much to say. He apologized. Kyle waited. Cassia added, he meant it. But he didn't understand it. That's possible. He said he admired how strong I became. Kyle's brow lifted. Did that feel honest? No, because I was strong then too. He just didn't see it. Kyle nodded slowly. Do you want my opinion? She met his eyes. Yes, you were always strong, but now you're also free. Her lip quivered. She looked away, eyes glassy. Do you still believe in marriage? She asked suddenly. Kyle leaned back. I believe in it when both people show up with truth, not roles. Cassia took a long breath, then smiled faintly. Good. Why? Because I might need a partner for a wedding next month. My cousins. Kyle held still, then broke into the smallest smile. No expectations. Cassia smiled back. Only intention. Cassia didn't hear from Kyle for 3 days. Not a message, not a call, not even a quiet presence in the background. She didn't wait. She lived. She explored. She wrote. She visited the same cafe twice, chatted with the old couple who owned it, and bought a scarf from a local vendor who complimented her calm energy. It felt good to move through space without being watched, but it felt even better to know she was no longer shrinking. On the 4th morning, a discreet note was slipped under her hotel door. Rooftop, 8 p.m. Bring your silence or your questions. No name. But she knew the handwriting. Cassia folded the note and slid it into her book. That evening, she arrived on the rooftop at exactly 8. Kyle was there, dark coat, one hand in his pocket, the other holding a thermos. Steam rose into the air. Chamomile, he said, offering it to her without looking. Cassia took it. No thanks, no hesitation. She sipped and leaned against the railing beside him. Below them, the city blinked. Neither spoke for several minutes. Then Kyle said quietly, he submitted the resignation. Cassia nodded. He didn't fight it. He knew he couldn't. More silence. Then Kyle turned to face her. You were never the reason Vienna lost control, but you were always the mirror she couldn't avoid. I wasn't trying to be. I know. Cassia looked at him. And what about you? What are you trying to be now? Kyle's voice didn't falter. A man who doesn't need to own something to honor it. Cassia's breath caught. She wasn't used to that kind of still truth. He added, "You asked me once if I was chasing something. I'm not. Then, what are you doing? Staying where there's clarity. Even if I'm not invited in." Cassia stared at the skyline. "And if clarity shifts, then I shift with it. Not to follow, but to respect." She didn't reply. Not because she didn't believe him, but because something in her had softened, and it wasn't fear. It was readiness. Braden was unraveling quietly. His apartment had gone from immaculate to chaotic. A suit jacket hung on a dining chair. 2 wine glasses sat in the sink. One cracked. He hadn't touched alcohol in weeks. But yesterday, he'd tried. Not to forget, but to remember what calm felt like. It didn't work. The board had sent a formal inquiry. His seat was pending review, and every email he opened started with concern and ended with subtle distance. He checked his phone. No new messages from Cassia, none from Vienna either. He'd expected that. He walked to his bookshelf and pulled down a copy of The Art of Influence. Cassia had bought it for him years ago. She had written something on the inside cover. He opened it. "Real power listens before it speaks." He closed the book and sat down in the quiet. This time, he let it stay quiet. Kyle didn't reach out the next day. Neither did Cassia. But she did return to the rooftop. Alone. She brought her own thermos. Same railing. Same view. She didn't know if he would come. She didn't hope either. She simply allowed the stillness. And 20 minutes later, Kyle stepped into view. No coat this time. Just a grey sweater, sleeves pushed up, eyes steady. "You're not surprised," he said. Cassia smiled. "I knew you respected patterns." He stood beside her, close enough to feel warm, far enough to feel safe. "Do you believe in timing?" he asked. "I believe in awareness," she replied. "Timing without intention is luck. I'm not interested in luck." Kyle's mouth twitched. Not quite a smile, but not denial either. He said, "Would you let something new begin, if it didn't look like romance?" Cassia met his gaze. "Only if it felt like truth." Then she walked away again. Slowly, but with clarity. Kyle didn't follow. He stood still. But this time, his breath held hope. Cassia stood by the window of the boutique cafe, holding her cup of chamomile tea as snow drifted quietly outside. Vienna hadn't returned to the penthouse since the board meeting. She'd packed silently the next morning and left without demanding attention. No public scandal, no bitter scene, just the quiet exit of a woman who'd already lost more than she admitted. Kyle entered the cafe at the hour Cassia had agreed to meet. She glanced at the time but didn't rush to greet him. He spotted her easily, still, composed, owning her presence like she always did when she wasn't trying to shrink herself for someone else's comfort. He approached slowly. "May I?" Cassia gave a small nod. "You already sat down." A corner of Kyle's mouth curved. True, silence lingered between them, but not the strained kind. More like the weight of 2 people sorting what to carry forward and what to leave. "You're not looking over your shoulder anymore," Kyle noted. "I've got nothing to run from." He stirred his espresso. "Good." Cassia folded her fingers. "You?" Kyle looked directly at her. "I'm learning not to define my success by noise." They didn't need a long conversation. The air said enough. Neither came to reclaim anything. But something unspoken sat between their exchanged glances. Recognition. Respect. Closure. Braden, meanwhile, returned to the boardroom. He didn't walk in like he used to. No coat flung, no silver watch flashed. He wore the expression of a man who'd seen the edge of his pride and didn't like the view. He gave his statement, took responsibility, accepted the terms. He resigned, with a brief nod to the team and no PR spin. Some respected him more for it. Later that week, Cassia's article went live. It was titled, "When Power Distracts from Peace." She didn't name names, but those who followed the story between Davenhall Inc. and Kyle understood the message. Her opening line read, "Dignity is quiet until it's forced to speak." It went viral. The quote was shared, reposted, and screenshotted. Women in business forums referenced it. So did university lectures on leadership and personal boundaries. Cassia's name, once only whispered in circles of gossip, now stood beside thoughtful reflection. Kyle read it alone, in a cabin outside the city. No secretary, no meeting buzz, just firewood and a quiet lake view. He closed the laptop gently, then brewed coffee for himself. He didn't text her, didn't forward it to Braden. He just stood there, mug in hand, remembering every time he'd overlooked her voice while chasing control. She had never needed to be loud to be right. At a conference panel on women reclaiming identity in business, Cassia was invited to speak. It wasn't something she planned, but when she walked on stage, the applause wasn't just for her words, it was for her survival. After the event, she stood in the hallway, hands clasped loosely, when a reporter asked, "Did you imagine all this when you left your marriage?" Cassia smiled softly. "I didn't imagine anything. I just refused to stay unseen." Kyle watched the clip 2 days later. He didn't feel bitter. He felt clear. 3 weeks passed. The city quieted beneath a fresh blanket of snow, and Davenhall Inc. moved on without headlines. Cassia returned to her rhythm, early morning runs, planning editorial schedules, meetings with publishers. She didn't rush anything. Success wasn't loud anymore. It was calm. One Thursday morning, a message came through her assistant's line. "Someone from Rizal wants to meet. A woman named Rhea Templeton." She didn't say much, just that she's followed your work for a while. Cassia paused. Rhea Templeton was the founder of a women's leadership foundation that rarely made public endorsements. "Schedule it." Quietly, Cassia replied. When Cassia arrived at the discreet lounge where they agreed to meet, Rhea stood from her table. Late 50s, silver streaks in her coiled hair, eyes that missed nothing. "You've handled storms with a level of grace I've only seen in a few women," Rhea said as they sat. Cassia smiled politely. "Thank you. I read your article twice. It said what many of us lived but never articulated." Cassia said nothing. She didn't write it for applause. Rhea leaned forward. "We'd like you to mentor 5 young women in our winter program. Business, resilience, dignity. They need someone who's walked through fire and didn't sell her soul to get out." Cassia looked down at her cup. "I'll think about it. Don't think too long." They're waiting to meet someone who didn't choose vengeance, but power with peace. Later that evening, Cassia sat at her desk, staring at the proposal packet Rhea left behind. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard before she typed one sentence in response. "Let's teach them how to stay whole." Braden moved out of the penthouse within 10 days of his resignation. The real estate listing was discreet. No flashy photography, no broker interview. Vienna didn't return for anything. He called Cassia once, not for drama, but to say something clean. "I'm sorry for what I allowed," he said, "and for what I became to you." Cassia replied simply, "Be better than what you allowed." He didn't press further. Kyle, on the other hand, spent most of the season out of sight, not hiding, reflecting. He cancelled 2 international conferences, stepped away from multiple advisory boards, and turned down 3 awards. He bought a simple cabin by Lake Marwin. No assistant, no staff, just books, firewood, and a single stovetop kettle. He started reading again, not market forecasts or brand reports, but actual books. On one shelf sat Boundaries, The Road to Character, Quiet, and a dog-eared copy of Letters to a Young Poet. He underlined phrases, scribbled questions in the margins, let himself be small enough to grow. Sometimes, in the early mornings, he'd sit on the porch with coffee and a thick blanket, staring at the lake. He didn't miss the rush, not yet, not like before. Meanwhile, Cassia visited her grandmother in Albany. Grandma Elle was knitting on the porch when Cassia arrived, her hands slow but steady. "Told you you'd find your way," Elle murmured without looking up. Cassia laughed softly. "You also said I'd lose a lot doing it." Elle gave her a side glance. And didn't you? Cassia nodded. Still think it was worth it? Cassia sat beside her, wrapping her own shawl tighter. Yes. Even the silence. Especially the silence. Elle patted her hand. Silence teaches, so do closed doors. That night, as they ate baked salmon and roasted vegetables, Elle asked, "What do you want now, baby?" Cassia blinked. The question startled her. "I'm not sure." "Well," Elle said, "don't get busy chasing what broke you just because it's quiet now. Healing ain't the same as pretending." Cassia nodded slowly. "I want peace, and to teach others how to protect it." Elle smiled. "Then do that." By mid-December, invitations began pouring in. Panels, book agents, partnership offers. Cassia declined most, but she said yes to one event, a year-end women's leadership roundtable held at Columbia University. It was intimate. No lights, no press. Before she left the house, she paused by the mirror. Her dress was simple, navy blue, long sleeves, soft velvet. No glitter, no sharp angles. She didn't need to wear power anymore. She was it. At the round table, when it came time for Cassia to speak, she looked around the circle of women, some younger, some older, all tired of being asked to shrink. "Leadership without character is noise," Cassia said softly. "And dignity doesn't shout." One woman in the back wiped her eyes. Another nodded so hard, her glasses slipped. Cassia ended with one line. "Be the kind of presence that teaches others how to treat you, without ever raising your voice." Kyle read the transcript in the quiet of his cabin. He sat in his chair, jaw clenched. Not from anger, from clarity. He wasn't meant to ask Cassia back. He was meant to walk forward like a man who knew why she left, and why she mattered. Kyle hadn't seen his father in over a year. The last conversation ended with raised voices, a slammed office door, and the words, "You either lead like a man or watch everything fall apart." But after everything with Cassia, with Vienna, with the board and the shame he earned honestly, Kyle decided it was time. Not for reconciliation, not for approval, but for something quieter. He walked into the elder Roth's home, a sprawling estate with rooms too cold and a fireplace that had never been used. His father sat in the study, still in his suit, sipping scotch at 3 p.m. The news played softly in the background, financial headlines crawling along the bottom of the screen. "You finally showed up," his father said without turning. Kyle remained by the door. "I didn't come for a handshake." "I figured," Roth Sr. said, then looked over. "You look like hell." Kyle gave a brief nod. "I earned it." A pause. Then Roth Sr. poured a second drink and placed it on the table beside him. Kyle walked over, picked up the glass but didn't sit. "You know, when you married Cassia, I didn't think you were ready. You were chasing an image, not building a home." Kyle didn't defend himself. Roth Sr. continued, "But I saw her speak at that panel, and I saw something else, a woman who walked through fire without turning bitter." Kyle looked down at the amber swirl in his glass. "I built empires, but I never built peace," his father muttered. "She did. And so did you in your own way. You just mistook control for strength." Kyle finally sat. The silence between them wasn't healed, but it wasn't hostile. Sometimes a father doesn't apologize. He simply shares a drink. Cassia, meanwhile, returned to her grandmother's home for the first time in years. It was a modest single-story house with chipping paint and the same floral curtains she remembered from childhood. She helped her grandmother tend the winter garden, pulling up weeds from frozen beds and trimming back dead branches. "You always looked like your mother when you were upset," her grandmother said. "She used to get this wrinkle right here." She reached over and gently touched Cassia's forehead. Cassia exhaled. "I thought I failed." "You didn't fail, baby. You stayed. I left. You stayed in yourself. That's harder." Cassia rested her cheek on her grandmother's shoulder. "I wish I had done it sooner. People always do. But you did it when you were ready. That's enough." That evening, Cassia unpacked her suitcase. Not in a rush, not to flee, but to pause. She opened her laptop and drafted a message to a non-profit focused on young women entering corporate roles. She offered to host workshops, not as a speaker, as a listener first. That same night, Kyle wrote a letter, not to Cassia, to himself. He wrote about ambition, about fear, about the first time he realized Cassia was stronger than he ever gave her credit for. He wrote until midnight, then folded the letter and placed it in a drawer. Not everything needed to be sent to be understood. 3 weeks later, the snow began to melt. Cassia stood at a bookshop in Midtown, browsing the leadership section, when a familiar voice said softly, "You always went for the ones with case studies." She turned. Kyle stood there, no arrogance, no suit, just a navy sweater and calm eyes. "Old habits," she said. "I read your follow-up article. I wasn't expecting anyone to. You said the only thing power should serve is peace." Cassia closed the book in her hand. "Do you agree?" "I didn't." "I do now." She raised a brow. "That's a big shift." Kyle nodded. Big losses create quiet changes. Cassia didn't offer forgiveness, but she didn't walk away. "Coffee?" he asked. "You buying?" "Always did." She smiled, and this time she walked beside him, not behind, not ahead, together. The quiet hum of the train filled the background as Cassia sat by the window, eyes focused on the blurred scenery rushing past. Her suitcase sat upright beside her. She hadn't told anyone where she was going, not even her assistant. After months of press, interviews, and scheduled panels, she chose silence. Her phone buzzed for the 5th time in 10 minutes. She flipped it over, not now. Across the aisle, a young girl clutched a notepad and whispered lines under her breath. Cassia watched her, a small smile tugging at the corner of her mouth. She remembered doing that once, practicing lines before a presentation. No one expected her to lead. Cassia had left the city for the first time since the article went viral. It wasn't an escape. It was a reset. A town tucked far enough away from headlines and reminders. A cabin was waiting. Not Kyle's, not anyone's. Her own. Purchased quietly through a trust, the space offered her nothing but peace. A fireplace, pine trees, no cameras, no questions. At the same time, Kyle sat across from his father in the Davenhall Estate Library, the same room where legacy had always spoken louder than love. The older man adjusted his reading glasses but said nothing. Kyle stood, refusing to break the silence with empty explanations. "You left the board," his father finally said. "Yes, and you gave Cassia majority influence through the minority stakeholders. She earned it." The old man removed his glasses, gaze sharpened. "Is that your final decision?" "It is." The silence stretched. "Then maybe," his father said slowly, "you're finally acting like a man who deserves her." Kyle didn't respond. He simply nodded and left the room. 3 weeks passed before Cassia stepped foot into the town's local bookstore. She wore no makeup. Her hair was pulled into a loose bun. She looked nothing like the trending professional from viral clips, yet the bookstore owner recognized her. "You're the one who wrote about silence," the woman said. Cassia smiled. "I suppose I am. It helped me leave my ex," she added, gesturing toward the counter. 15 years of excuses. "Your piece felt like someone finally said what I couldn't." Cassia didn't offer advice. She simply nodded. "I'm glad you found your voice." That night, she sat by the fireplace, rereading old journals. Notes she'd written to herself in years when she thought no one would ever take her seriously. Each page reminded her who she was before the world saw her. The knock on the door came quietly. She almost didn't answer, but something in her bones said this moment wasn't random. Kyle stood there, holding a small thermos. Coffee. Stronger than the one I used to ignore on the boardroom table. Cassia leaned on the doorframe, not moving. "You followed me here?" "No," he said softly. "I listened. You once said, if someone wanted to know you, they'd have to meet you where you found yourself." She didn't invite him in, but she didn't close the door either. The fire cracked behind her. Snow fell gently outside. Kyle waited, the thermos still in hand. Cassia finally stepped aside, not for reconciliation, not for romance, just for truth, and the quiet beginning of something neither of them needed to name. Yet, 3 months passed. No contact, no media noise, no back-channel offers. Cassia lived in a rented townhouse near the lake. Smaller, warmer, quieter. She repainted the walls herself, planted basil and mint in her kitchen window. She worked freelance and consulted occasionally. No assistants, no handlers, just her. One afternoon, as she left the grocery store, she bumped into an old colleague. Cassia, she turned. Gerald. He looked stunned. You disappeared. I needed the quiet. He gave a half smile. Your piece, it changed things. We quote it in our leadership briefings now. She nodded, appreciative. He hesitated. There's a seat opening at Tri-Vantage. If you're ready to be visible again. Cassia smiled. I'll think about it. That night, she sat by her window, sipping tea, scrolling past event invitations and meeting requests she hadn't answered. She didn't feel the urge to be everywhere anymore. Meanwhile, Kyle was in Chicago. He'd taken a role at a non-profit venture advisory board. Smaller stakes, bigger purpose. He lived in a modest condo with fewer glass walls. The quiet didn't feel like punishment anymore. It felt earned. One Friday, he opened his email. A notification blinked in the corner. A press invitation to an awards ceremony in New York. The keynote speaker, Cassia Hale. He didn't please reply, but he booked a flight. The event was held in a repurposed museum hall. Intimate, tasteful, nothing about it screamed grandeur. Cassia walked on stage in a navy jumpsuit, hair tied back, simple, commanding. Her speech wasn't dramatic. She spoke of clarity, of misused power, of learning to rebuild identity outside of titles. Kyle sat 3 rows from the back. She spotted him once, only because he didn't look away. Afterward, in the hallway, they crossed paths. He didn't rush. She didn't hesitate. I liked your speech, he said. She looked him over, noting the less formal coat, the laugh lines deeper than she remembered. Thank you. You look rested. I sleep more now. She smirked. So you're capable of that? I wasn't. Before. They stood there, silence again. He motioned toward the exit. Walk with me. Cassia looked down the corridor. For a block. Outside, the city hummed softly, less aggressive than it once felt. You know, Kyle began, hands tucked into his coat. You once said I wasn't afraid of losing control. I think you were wrong. How so? I wasn't afraid of losing control. I was afraid of who I'd be without it. Cassia paused at the crosswalk. And who are you now? Kyle looked up at the red light blinking, still figuring that out. But I don't mind not knowing. She nodded slowly. That's growth. He looked over. Would you have coffee with me tomorrow? No business, no baggage. Cassia studied him for a second, then smiled. Tomorrow, 10 a.m., but I pick the cafe. Kyle chuckled. Deal. They parted without touch, without promise. Just 2 people who had learned to see each other clearly, without needing to own what they saw. Cassia didn't rebuild her life to prove anyone wrong. She rebuilt it to prove herself right, to honor the quiet that taught her to speak, to trust her voice without needing it echoed. Years from now, someone might ask her about Vienna, or Braden, or Kyle, but her answer will stay the same. I let go of what bruised me, and what was mine came without force. Kyle, now mentoring mid-level executives on ethical leadership, doesn't pretend to be a hero. He teaches from failure, from silence. He tells his story without painting himself as the victim or the victor. Braden? He moved back to Seattle. He teaches negotiation at a small business college. He answers questions honestly. No showmanship, no grand gestures. Just a man who fell hard and learned to sit with it. And Vienna? She writes columns under a pen name now. Sharp, unapologetic. She doesn't ask for forgiveness, but she stopped looking for destruction too. Cassia walks freely into rooms now. Not to dominate, not to compete, just to belong to herself first. Her name holds weight, but her peace holds more. And that's where this story ends, not with revenge, not with regret, but with reflection. A reminder that silence isn't always weakness, that walking away isn't giving up, and that dignity doesn't chase applause. Moral takeaways. Power without self-awareness collapses. Real strength isn't loud, it's calm and consistent. Respect isn't begged for, it's either given or earned. Closure doesn't always need an audience. And sometimes, love isn't what returns, it's what you discover in yourself. What part of Cassia's journey stayed with you? Was it her silence? Her strength? Her ability to heal without turning bitter? Let us know in the comments. Your voice adds meaning to the story. And if this story moved you, share it. Subscribe to Mr. Charles Stories for more stories that remind you dignity isn't loud, but it is unforgettable.